Since the discovery of the engineers on LV-223 and the subsequent discovery of their bioengineering tool or weapon, the pathogen, the black goo, the accelerant, whatever you want to call it. Since then, the project and researchers of the Middle Heavens have been split on what to make of it and its place within the wider universe. Is it their creation? Did they stumble across it? Is it connected to the Xenomorph XX121 in some way? For decades it was unclear what exactly the pathogen is, but following the recently recovered data from the Renaissance Station and its Romulus laboratory, we finally have answers to so many long gone unanswered questions about the origin of the pathogen, the Xenomorph species, and so much more. Prior to the recovery of the Romulus Lab data, what was known about the pathogen was largely gleaned from the data beamed to the company by the synthetic David 8 during his time on Planet 4. During his studies, he noted the virulent mutagenic pathogen to be comprised of microorganisms, a bacterium-like life form that is capable of rewriting the genetic material of any other form of life it comes into contact with, giving it the dual ability to not only create new life through dramatic mutations, but also to destroy it at a molecular level. David 8 in addition was able to create a variant of the Xenomorph XX121 species Plagiarus Praepotens, Plagiarus Leinsters colloquially known as the praetomorph, using the pathogen he had access to from the engineer's stores and experiments he performed on neomorph and human tissues. Other encounters with the substance like on LV-223 and LV-895 only really lead to the pathogen causing major problems for those involved by generating or mutating xenotype creatures to deal with. All evidence leading to the project surmising a connection between the pathogen and the Xenomorph species XX121. That was what we really knew about the pathogen and its origins up until the most recent discovery. Analyzing the data procured from the Romulus Lab, conducted in large part by the synthetic Rook, the project learned of an extraordinary discovery made by him. The station's center of focus was the study of the species Plagiarus Praepotens, not for use in the bioweapons industry, but instead to improve the flaws in humanity. Their goal through their research was to attempt to find a way to harness the genetic advantages of the Xenomorph and bioengineer them into the human race, making our species more tolerable to adverse temperatures, toxic conditions, and novel diseases. Their test subject was a Xenomorph XX121 that was recovered from the destruction site of the infamous USCSS Nostromo, a commercial towing vessel that was destroyed by Ellen Ripley 20 years prior to the events that took place on Renaissance Station. Ripley, through unlikely odds, was able to survive against the Xenomorph aboard her ship whilst her crew fell. Ellen Ripley eventually escaped the Nostromo and its destruction via the Narcissus lifeboat, but before truly making it to safety first needed to blast the Xenomorph creature out of the airlock, it having stowed away there earlier. Whale and Utoni searched for that specimen that was left floating in space for around 20 years, before finally discovering it and delivering it to Renaissance Station for study. Through studying the creature's genome, Rook was able to genetically recreate the creature in its pure seed form of the parasitoid Manumolanox hydria, otherwise known as the facehugger, within which Rook discovered the Plagiarus Praepotens, a non-Newtonian fluid comprised of a bacterium-like microorganism, life in its most primal and adulterated form. He coined the substance Z-01, an organism capable of being the most destructive pathogen ever observed, or the cure to humanity's tribulations amongst the stars. He noted it as the Prometheus fire, the miracle Peter Whalen had died searching for, a divine gift to humanity. And if these facts weren't enough, the analysis performed on the substance returned a result of chemical A03959X.9115. The very same one discovered on LV-223 by Project Prometheus, stored within the steatite ampules of the engineers. This connection is massive. This changes everything we thought we knew about the Xenomorph, engineers, their pathogen, and so much more. For starters, we now know that the pathogen is a direct result of the study and refinement of the species XX121's unique genetic properties. That the Xenomorph is an obviously ancient creature that the engineers likely may not have even created, but instead stumbled across. Through their study of the Xenomorph, they were able to harness the genetic accelerant of the Plagiarus Praepotens and use it to create life at will. And not only that, but weapons of mass destruction that can decimate an entire planet's ecosystem, spawning xenotype creatures. And that in itself is something that has a much more logical explanation now, and that is the fact that life mutated by the pathogen appears to take on a lot of traits in line with the species XX121. It's entirely due to the pathogen being derived from the study and bioengineering of the Xenomorph's genetic code. The age-old question of the chicken or the egg, or in this case the Xenomorph or the pathogen, has been answered. But now that we know that the Pathogen is created from the Xenomorphs. A whole slew of questions arise about the true origins of the Xenomorphs and the engineers and other ancient races' encounters with them, and how humanity could seemingly be on the same extinction path that has resulted in the engineers' disappearance from the galaxy at large. Perhaps the Xenomorph is the ultimate cleansing fire of the universe, the solution to the Fermi paradox, a species that keeps spacefaring races in check when they decide to spread like a cancer uninhibitedly through the stars. Destined to encounter the Xenomorph and through greed, intrigue, passion or curiosity are doomed to fall to the perfect organism. If you really want to support what we do here and gain a bunch of awesome rewards, consider joining as a Project ACHERON channel member like company representatives, the Sith Lord 906, Lewis Perkins, Jack Fleming Jr. and Scott and Lou, or like our team member Daniel Lee, Ambrosia and CMDR Verd. And even project trainees like Ethan Feldman, Kroll's Chaos, Kim Sorensen and FM11B. But next transmission, this is Project ACHERON bringing the knowledge and the power directly to you.